Welcome to today's Crosspoint Devotion. Today I'm going to go back to an Old Testament passage. I've been reading through the book of 2 Chronicles in my own daily Bible readings. And sometimes people find the book of 2 Chronicles not very interesting because it's really about the kings of Judah. If you remember, shortly after Solomon died, his son Rehoboam came to power, and instead of having a united nation with 12 tribes, when Rehoboam came to power, there was a division. There was a power struggle. 10 tribes went to the north and formed Israel. 2 tribes stayed loyal to David and his kingdom, and they became known as the Kingdom of Judah. When you read the Bible on your own, always remember that the books of 1st and 2nd Chronicles primarily focus on the nation of Judah. The kings of Israel are mentioned as a part of the storyline, but they're kind of a secondary part of the story because really 1st and 2nd Chronicles is a reminder of what happened in the nation of Judah, and so that's why the material really focuses on those kings. Well, one of the kings that is very interesting that we should probably pay attention to is found in 2nd Chronicles chapter 24. It's about a young man named Joash. He became king, get this, at the age of 8. That's astounding. When you think about maybe 8-year-olds that you know, I'm sure your first thought was the same thing that I'm thinking. There's no 8-year-old in today's world that would be equipped and fit to be the king over any nation. And that should be probably the case as we read about this young man named Joash. He becomes king at 8. Now here's the key in this whole passage. In the early years of his life, because he is such a young man, he's still a child in development. Now, granted, in the Jewish culture, a young man became an adult at the age of 12, but still he had the years of 8, 9, 10, 11, until he turned 12 and became an adult officially, where he's the king over an entire nation. Well, how did he reign during that time? How did he do things that were honorable to God? Well, verse 2 in chapter 24 lets us know how this young man Joash became such a godly king. And here's what it says. Throughout the time of the priest Jehoiada, Joash did what was right in the Lord's sight. Joash had a friend. He had a mentor, if you will. It was an old priest, and the old priest's name was Jehoiada. Throughout the days of Jehoiada, he had been faithful to the Lord. He had learned how to walk with the Lord. And he was given a task. You are to be the mentor of this 8-year-old king named Joash. And Jehoiada did a fantastic job. He taught him the ways of the Lord. He introduced him to the law of God. He helped this young man make wise decisions that were always honoring to God. Here's what's interesting. When you get to the end of Joash's life, when Jehoiada has passed away, it says that Joash actually turned away from the Lord because his mentor was no longer there to influence him. Now, why would I tell you this quick story from 2 Chronicles chapter 24 about 8-year-old Joash and an old priest named Jehoiada? There are some of you who've been following Jesus for a very long time. You know the ways of God. You're able to recognize when He's at work and when He's doing things in our world that are of significance. And you've also learned from your previous mistakes how things please God or they displease God. But you probably, like Jehoiada, the old priest, you have some younger people that are around you who are learning how to follow Jesus. They're not completely immersed in the ways of God. They may not even understand all the words of God that are found in Scripture. You could become a Jehoiada to the next Joash. I would encourage you to look around in your life and to see if there might be a young believer who's just beginning to follow Jesus, and you offer to become their Jehoiada. You offer to become the mentor that he or she will need so that he or she can follow the Lord all the days of his or her life. It's a great privilege to serve the Lord, but it's an even greater honor to be the mentor of the next generation. And that's why I think it's interesting in this passage from the Old Testament where we might just kind of gloss over and say, okay, another king, oh, he's 8 years old, and we miss the point. God had a mentor in place in the king's palace that was going to help him live a godly life as he ruled over God's people. I want to encourage you to consider being a godly mentor to the next generation. Well, I hope that'll encourage you, and I hope you have a great day, and come back and join us for the next Crosspoint Devotion.